Assalamu alaikum my dear students. Today it is the third part of the lecture by the name factors affecting diffusion. So in the last part of the lecture I have told you that there are certain membranes that oxygen has to across in order to diffuse into the blood. So let's suppose this is the respiratory tract and this is the alveoli. So the membranes, I would repeat once again, this was the surfactant, then there was the alveolar epithelium, then there was the basement membrane, then there was the capillary endothelium, above capillary endothelium there was the interstitial fluid, and then below the capillary endothelium we have the capillary basement membrane. So these membrane oxygen has to pass through in order to reach the blood in the capillaries. So the first factor which affects the diffusion, it is the thickness. So thickness of this membrane. We know that during the fibrosis of the lungs, these membrane become stiff. So due to that fibrosis and due to that stiffness, thickness increases and it affects the diffusion capability of the oxygen. So oxygen diffusion is affected by this fibrosis. Now the second factor is the surface area. We know that surface area is directly proportional to the diffusion or gases exchange. More the surface area, more would be the diffusion, more would be the gases exchange. So in the case of emphysema disease, the surface area is reduced. So due to the reduction in the surface area, what happens that diffusion gets decreased. Now number third is the diffusion coefficient. So diffusion coefficient, we know that it has the formula. I would write once again, diffusion coefficient is equals to solubility over molecular weight. So diffusion coefficient affects the diffusion. So a gas that is being diffusing, so solubility must need to be high. If the solubility of that particular gas is high and it has less molecular weight, so it would have greater diffusion coefficient and it would lead to more diffusion. And if we talk about the vice versa, if the molecular weight is more and solubility is less, so diffusion coefficient would be less and it would affect the diffusion. Now number fourth one. The number fourth is the pressure difference. Number four, it is the pressure difference. We know that more would be the pressure difference, more would be the gases exchange. If we talk about the oxygen, so we know that the oxygen concentration is more in the atmosphere and it is less in the capillaries. So due to this pressure difference, oxygen moves from outside into the capillaries and it is diffused into the capillaries. So this is possible due to the pressure difference. Similarly, if we talk about the carbon dioxide, it is more in the capillaries, but it is less in concentration in the atmosphere. So it diffuses quickly from the capillary into the atmosphere. This exchange occurs, and it is possible due to the pressure difference. So it is also the important factor. Number 5, it is the diffusing capacity. So at the last, talking about the diffusing capacity. So diffusing capacity actually depends upon the difference in the pressure. So more the difference in the pressure, more would be the diffusing capacity. So first of all, talking about the oxygen. So if let's suppose this is the alveoli and this is the capillary. So if there is the pressure difference of 1 millimeter of mercury, so at this pressure difference, the diffusing capacity of oxygen would be 21 ml per minute. But normally there is the 11 millimeter of mercury pressure difference that exists between the alveoli and the capillaries. So 11 multiplied 21, 230 ml per minute, it is the diffusing capacity of oxygen. Now talking about the diffusing capacity of carbon dioxide, So it is very much difficult to determine the diffusion capacity of carbon dioxide because it diffuses so much quickly. The diffusion rate of carbon dioxide is 20 times more than that of the oxygen. So that's why it is very much difficult to determine the diffusing capacity of the carbon dioxide. But there is an estimated value of the diffusing capacity of carbon dioxide from the capillaries into the alveoli, and that is 400 ml per minute. So in this particular lecture, I have told you about the 5 factors which actually affects the diffusion. Number 1, it is the thickness. Number 2, surface tension. Surface area. Number 3, it was diffusion coefficient. Number 4, pressure difference. And number 5, diffusion capacity. Hope you have understood it well. Thank you.